Here's the fourth installment for Nature's Freak. Titles, as usual. So we're going to talk about this week what was going on beneath the surface for these characters within this song. The song has the character of the doctor, Dr. Laur, the psychiatrist, and the patient, supposedly the madman. It's easy just to say, oh, well, this person fits into this slot, or, you know, the madman is just somebody who represents craziness or an attitude. I think it is much more than that. And what we intended to do was actually tell a deeper story. And the story was about humanity in a weird kind of way. One of those things is that we touch on is, what do we do with that instinct that's been around deep down inside of us, that protection instinct, that instinct that actually goes to the core of trying to keep the tribe safe. And we have all kinds of instincts. There are those people who stay up at night. They're the ones to tend the fire. How about when someone gets hit by a bus? The first thing they do is try and get up and say, hey, I'm of use. I can still make fire. And those are the kind of things that are embedded in us. And just because we live in skyscrapers and we have highways and we drive cars, that does not mean that we have evolved out of our basic instincts. And one of the things I'm trying to present here is that we, as a species, have not lost these instincts. And the studies on human beings, other than Desmond Morris, he wrote The Naked Ape, most everyone else was studying the individual. Certainly in the West, we study the individual. We study, and it's kind of like looking at, say for instance, a skin lesion and saying, well, there's the problem. No, it's what is the illness that's driving that. And we explore that in this video. Now, there are many people who have come out and said, oh, Dr. Laur in the very short skirt, well, she would never wear that in her place of employment. That's not the point. The point is, and we are trying to say, because a woman presents herself in a certain way or in a fashionable way, that does not indicate who she is and how she feels about herself, or how she's trying to manipulate people or any of that kind of stuff. This is about people have presented themselves how they want to present themselves for millennia. And in the paper that you'll find down below in the description, it talks about how men used to wear cod pieces to show virility. Women showed an ample amount of breast to show their fertility in the 1700s. The women cut all their hair off in the 1920s to show that they had been emancipated. These kind of fashion statements happen all the time. So that's what we're trying to present here. Deeper underneath that, she understands all these things. She understands Freud. She understands. The doctor understands Jung. But she also is saying that this individual is a representation of a commonality within humankind. There are those that go to war. There are those that commit murders. There are those that have road rage. And this is part of us. And what do we do with them? That's the question of the song. And as I said in the last video, there's no resolution here. But there is the question. And I think that humanity must ask these questions about itself before we just sort of keep going the way we're doing. So we don't just continue these wars. We don't continue abhorrent behavior. And the way that the patient in this video is incarcerated, I was also criticized for that. Someone said it was S&M. No, it's not. The straitjacket doesn't represent that. The incarceration and the straitjacket represent how we try and suppress our dark pasture, some call it, the shadow part of ourselves, the angry part of ourselves. How we're even attracted to that. Where do we go to movies and see people shoot each other? Yes, mankind is violent at its base. And what we're trying to say here is, what is going on within the human mind? So, I don't have any answers to that. If you want to comment and throw your 2 cents in down below, that's fine. But what matters is humanity should start asking these questions about itself, and why is it so darn tribal? I don't think we'll come up with something, but we can always stay tuned. Eh?